We did just check off the Attorney General, it looks like, because we've got government funding to deal with. Clarity is, well, we'll talk to Nathan about that. Appears to be on the side of the road to be managed another day. And we've got the Attorney General to potentially confirm before everybody runs out of Dodge. So let's bring you to the floor. This was 10-something this morning. Remember the YOLO caucus? There's not a lot left of them today. Bill Cassidy just cashed in his chips, having held up the vote for Todd Blanche as Attorney General. He had huge misgivings, remember? This is the man whose political career was ended by Donald Trump in a primary that he lost in Louisiana. So Bill Cassidy this morning says, I'm going to make an announcement, 10:40 a.m. I'll tell you how I'm going to vote. He gets all of Washington roped up. Everyone's got C-SPAN here. We had it on the terminal to find out the big news. And here it is.
This is not a referendum on President Trump. It is a decision regarding Mr. Blanche in very specific circumstances. All considered, I will vote for Mr. Blanche. I'll be criticized for this vote. What's new?
So he's a yes. And that's pretty much all we needed here, and it looks like a go for Todd Blanche. What'll happen to the rest of it? Can we get all this done? Because there's a 5-week recess waiting for everybody. And I started working already on the Russia sanctions bill. We got a whole bunch of nominees. We got a CR to fund the government. And there's only one man who can tell us what's going to happen. If you have a terminal, you probably called him today already. It's not very often I get to spend a Friday with America's dad. My good friend Nathan Dean is with us, the chief U.S. policy analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence. You're in the office today. This must be a big deal. All right, let's tick through them.
Yep.
Blanche is as good as done?
I think so.
We have an attorney general.
Yep.
Does that happen when they come back, or they get a floor vote as part of this whatever free-for-all tonight?
You know, I'll say it's like, don't underestimate, like you were talking about, don't underestimate the desire to get out of town on a Friday night. So, you know, look, when it comes to Attorney General Blanche's or the nominee, whether it's today or in September, it really doesn't change things all that much. He'll still be, you know, the head of the Department of Justice between now and then. Yeah. So, you know, I think this is, if I'm Senator Thune and I'm trying to think of like what it is that I want to get off my, you know, plate today, the most important is that CR for December 11th. Because if you get that CR off your plate, you know, there's only 14 working days when they come back in September. If you get the CR off that plate, it kicks the can over to the House. It becomes the House's problem. That opens up a couple of days for you to deal with things like clarity or the budget resolution. So if I'm Senator Thune, the CR is the one thing that I want to get done today.
Got it. Do we need a timing deal, or can he just kind of force everyone to get this done because they want to leave town?
Yeah, no, look, I mean, like, this is where he's going to have to use his relationships to say, look, you know, I know you may want to drag out the process, but, you know, it's supposed to be 90 with thunderstorms tomorrow. Do you want to be here with Washington, D.C.?
Right. He's talking to Democrats, though, in that case, right? So they need to get on board with the timetable.
They do as well, but they don't want to be here either. I mean, look, I think it was on one of your programs earlier this week, somebody said, you know, like 90 to 95% of the senators don't want to be here right now. And so, you know, I'll just say is that, you know, look, in Washington, it takes forever. But I even think Patrick Mahenry said this yesterday on the early edition. They get more done within the last 4 hours before they leave than they do in the 4 months prior to that. Right. So I could see a lot of momentum later this afternoon kicking in.
Awesome. I love that you listen to this program when you're not on it. Thinking about some of the dysfunction that Mr. McHenry was talking about yesterday makes you wonder what kind of magic can happen here. Does the Russia sanctions bill fly? I know that's not really it doesn't have an investment angle, but if we start getting momentum, even with the nominees, that could help bring passage to everything else we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Russian sanctions bill, I mean, look, this bill has overwhelmingly bipartisan support.
Sure does.
I mean, this should not be a controversial bill because what it does is it gives President Trump another tool to levy tariffs. Now, from the investable angle, we are telling our clients, look out, because if President Trump does get this power, then if you are China, Turkey, India, or have companies exposed to those countries, you may get into a scenario again where you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern to check the European markets, and there could be a Truth Social post saying there are new tariffs going up on Turkey or new tariffs going on India as a result of this.
Okay, got it.
So there is like this volatility risk that would come from this bill. But, you know, I think because due to the overwhelming bipartisan nature of this bill, you know, I think that they can probably seal this one fairly quickly. Well, I can't remember off the top of my mind if there's one or two senators that may try and hold it up. But this bill, if President Trump wants it to pass,
yes,
this bill should pass.
Okay, got it. Clarity is another matter. This thing has been just a brutal process to follow.
Yep.
Your phone's been ringing off the hook for months, years. Well, I don't know, since we've called it clear, since the president came back to the White House. And now it appears it's not going to happen until they come back. Is that the death knell that some are making it out to be? Or could there be enough relief in a lame duck to get this done?
So I'm still optimistic, but I am going to probably lower my odds. My note will be out Monday or Tuesday. I'm going to sleep on it over the weekend.
All right.
I do owe a couple of mea culpas to some clients because I was fairly confident it was going to go before August recess.
Sure.
But the thing to keep in mind now is that we need to start preparing for a world of where clarity doesn't happen. And in that scenario, the SEC and the CFTC are going to start pushing out rulemakings to provide that clarity within their own powers that they can do that. That's great for crypto platforms like Coinbase and Robinhood.
Yeah.
It essentially gives them until the end of the administration to operate in a regulatory-friendly environment. Now, if you get a new Democratic administration that decides to take a different view on this, then you probably within the first 6 months of 2029, maybe into bleeding into 2030, that's when the momentum will shift, and you really need to be careful because enforcement risk increases. So if I'm investing in Coinbase or Robinhood, at least from the regulatory perspective, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a whole bunch of other issues with crypto at the moment. But from the regulatory perspective, if I don't get clarity, I at least get to operate for the next 2 years in a friendlier regulatory environment. Okay.
It's interesting, by the way, but Bitcoin is higher at the moment, not by a lot, but it's up 1%. There isn't a freak out, at least in the actual commodity space. But talk to me about the other side of this story. What do bankers think about nothing being passed? What does this mean for community banks worried about stablecoin yields and deposit flight?
Yeah. So, it's not so much, it's mostly concerned about what is the future of banking. Is it going to be crypto? Is it going to be TradFi? But at the end of the day, that clarity for Coinbase and Robinhood means the banks may be operating at a disadvantage for the next couple of years.
So you got new odds next week.
Yep.
All right. You heard it from the source. Our dear friend Nathan Dean, have a great weekend. America's dad is not coaching until the fall. Good luck with the kiddos. This is Bloomberg.